Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Wyant, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Great Tech Group. This episode was recorded live from Autodesk University in Nashville, Tennessee, where the brightest minds in construction, design, and technology came together to shape the future. Over the course of AU, we talked with industry leaders, innovators, and the change makers about the trends, tools, and ideas driving digital transformation in our great industry. So settle in as we explore how to model the future of construction innovation. Enjoy the conversation. Welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast. We are here live at Autodesk University in Nashville, Tennessee this year, and I am excited to welcome Jason Waddell. Thanks for taking the time and joining us here.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so you are first up here. We just got out of the keynote, but I would love to start with giving a little bit about who you are, what brought you here, and you work for Batson-Cook, so maybe a little bit about Batson-Cook as well.
Absolutely. So I'm Jason Waddell. I'm Director of Construction Technology. I've been with Batson-Cook about 13 years. I run all of our VDC department. We have 9 people in our VDC department now. And any construction innovation we have going on that's focused specifically on construction technology, I kind of manage and oversee and implement and train and that type of thing.
That's awesome. Well, what kind of projects do you typically take on?
So Batson-Cook is mostly healthcare. It's 50% of our business.
Okay.
Is kind of what we try to target, which is usually the case, if not more. We do all commercial type vertical buildings for the most part. But healthcare is our big thing. So we do big hospital expansions, big ground up hospitals, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's where we focus most of our efforts.
Nice. Very nice. So what brought you to AU this year?
I mean, I go to AU most every year. We have Batson-Cook is owned by a bigger company, Kojima, out of Japan, which is a very, very large $20 billion company. And they bring a lot of people. There's actually over 55 people here from Kojima worldwide. So we met last night, actually, at our own little summit with everybody. So we were talking with people from Singapore, Japan, Australia. It was quite an event.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we all kind of get together and have a good place to meet and exchange ideas here at AU.
I think that's super cool when the disparate big groups get to come together at AU. It's one of the good perks of coming to a show like this and
Absolutely.
have everybody congregated together. Great Tech's similar. There's 50 of us here all scattered throughout the world, so you don't get to see everybody every single day, and it's fun to be able to connect with all those.
That's right. We communicate on Teams and stuff, but to be in person is a great opportunity.
You're a real person, not just a little square on Teams.
That's right.
What excites you most so far? What you've heard from AU with the keynote just ending?
Yeah, the AI is really big here this year, so I'm really interested in seeing the AI keynote and learning more about AI. We've been using it a little bit with ACC, but seeing where they're going and developing that is going to be a big thing in the future, I think.
Yeah. So you mentioned about AI. I think over the last couple of years, there's been the question of, does the hype match the reality? Where do you think AI is right now on the hype reality continuum?
I mean, I think it's kind of middle of the road right now. I mean, it does provide value and benefit. We have a little bit of a more structured, I think, as far as security goes with AI, because we're owned by a public company. So security is a big problem for us, and we have to abide by certain rules when it comes to security. So there's specific softwares we really can't focus on, and we have to really work with our IT department to make sure that the AI systems are not pulling data from random sources, or we're training AI bots for other companies, that type of thing. But the Autodesk stuff that they're using within ACC and within Revit and that type of thing, that's all contained in our own environment, so that's stuff that we can use, which is great for us.
That's awesome. So we're in the Great Tech booth. You are a partner with Great Tech. Would love to hear, how long have you been a partner of Great Tech? What does that look like? What brought you to Great Tech to begin with?
Yeah, so we've owned Structsoft, MWF for a number of years. I think even before, I think you guys acquired Structsoft.
Yeah.
And so we kind of came in that way through that acquisition, and we love MWF, and we're starting to focus more on using that for other type of resources. Like we have the HP SitePrint, which is right over here. We have 2 of those devices, so we're helping to leverage that software to print our stuff on the slabs, which is great, our studs and our layout for our drywall subcontractor partners.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are there kind of specific workflows that Struxoft comes in handy for you that you really leverage it for?
It's mostly just the studs in the bottom track is what we're printing. So being able to isolate those specifically, that's mostly what we're using it for as far as that goes. But we're leaning towards prefabrication a lot more. So we're starting to get into prefabbing. And our Dallas division actually does drywall self-perform, which is our only division that does that. So they're really focusing on self-performing their own drywall and starting to, which MWF really helps focus on.
What's the prefabrication journey been like for you guys as you are starting to really think through that kind of evolution process?
It's been slow for us right now. We do a lot of prefab for healthcare, obviously, so it's been really successful, really successful. Now some of our superintendents are like, we won't even build another building without doing it this way. It's just so successful, really. And it's been the shafts, which is really surprising, like the vertical shaft prefabrication. Yeah. And we hoist up the equipment and the pipes and ducts and things up onto the roof and then lower them down through the shaft, through the building, which is really great.
Yeah, very cool.
But we've done, pods and we've done quarter racks and things like that too, and that's all real successful. Speeds up the process a lot, especially when our healthcare clients are really interested in getting beds turned over as fast as possible and getting, because they're really lacking on the amount of beds and stuff necessary to keep us afloat.
So I want to back up to the kind of the early days when you brought on Struxoft to begin with. Think back a few years here. What were some of the challenges that you were facing, or where there's the question of there has to be a better way? What kind of brought you to start looking at different options and led you to Struxoft?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my employees that I hired came from a metal wood framing design firm.
Okay.
So he actually used it quite a bit at that firm, implemented it, helped the designers use it, all of that, and then he came to work for us. And we have a pretty big stick frame division, so we do a lot of wood framing. And we were struggling with designers, not to step on designers' toes, but they were dimensioning to like the drywall and leaving dimensions off, or just not getting us what we need to build the building. When it comes to stick frame, we need dimensions very specific to the studs when the stud framer is out there putting that up. He can't do the math of how much drywall, how much is 5/8 of an inch from, So we started using MWF to produce the drawings for the guys in the field to actually install. As a matter of fact, one of our drywall partners wouldn't even bid the job. Our stick frame, he's like, we're not even going to bid the job because of how bad the drawings are. And we were like, well, what if we produce the drawings for you? We gave them examples of what we could do with MWF, and they were like, absolutely, we'll bid it now. And they ended up getting the job and building it, and it was very successful.
Wow, that's awesome. So how has that kind of changed the overall workflow and the end product of whether that's saving time or the productivity? Talk to me about that. Now, current state, what is using Struxoft MWF help with?
Yeah, it's helped with a lot of productivity, less waste on the job, just faster installation. We have more opportunities to bring in other trade partners that we potentially wouldn't have worked with before. And then even better yet, we have our own building material company. So now we can buy material directly from our own internal building material company, so they can buy the studs because they're confident in the estimation of our material from Struxoft, because it estimates the material as well.
Nice. And how's the partnership dynamic work with you guys in Struxoft House? Who do you work with? Talk to me about kind of the partnership process.
With the Great Tech?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been great. The support has been great for it. We've, had a little bit of issues kind of transitioning people around internally and the knowledge of using the tool. So you guys have been great for helping support and train and work with us on the dynamic of using the tool. As turnover and people have left or grown, and they're not using the tool as much anymore, so pushing that knowledge to the next person down the road, especially starting a division in Dallas. That's a whole new person out there that doesn't know the tool, so it's ground up, learning how to use it and what we can use it for and how it works and that type of thing.
Yeah, you bring up a really interesting dynamic, I think, that happens everywhere, is how do you capture that institutional knowledge base? You're training up people leave, people change positions or what have you. How do you guys manage that internally? keeping that institutional knowledge?
We have training mechanisms and we do SOPs for a lot of our different tools that we use in-house. We usually have an expert that knows the software. Most people in my division know how to do everything in some form or fashion, but they're maybe not experts at it. But we always have an expert that knows every tool very, very well and is trained as like a super user, so to speak, that knows the tool, and they will create, documentation and training material and that type of thing.
Okay, so they serve as like the champion for
That's right.
that workflow and really help crowdsource it.
Absolutely.
Nice. What's the next step for you all on the innovation front and the digital transformation journey?
It's probably going to be AI a little bit. Right now we're focusing a lot on ACC. We're just implementing cost. That's another thing that brought us to GreatTech. We're using Agave through GreatTech, and we've done a lot of support and integration with our ERP system and ACC cost, and as well as our safety department. One of the things we saw at the keynote was the ability to create an issue with just a photograph, and it'll fill out that issue for you. And that, cool. I think, is huge. I can't wait to test that out and see how that works. But that's, along with that comes our dashboarding, which they also showed up there. We're on the beta team for that. So we're using the Insight Builder dashboards, and we're sharing them out with the project teams, just like they showed on stage. So that's pretty cool. And that's working really well. But we have I'm really interested in that AI and how that can help speed up a lot of our kind of tedious tasks that we do every day, like filling out an issue.
Yeah, I mean, that picture and detailing out, that could be a big game changer.
Yeah, it could be a game changer.
A ton of time there. So you brought up ERP. That can create a whole host of complicated issues and implementation stuff. Walk me through what is mentioned, the Agave Sync tool. How has that helped with connecting ERP and cost?
Yeah, that's been really instrumental working with you guys and Agave directly. We've had a lot of issues kind of come up in the beginning, and we're like, well, how does this work? We've really determined our workflow internally was kind of isolated and stagnated. I didn't realize that, like, our risk management department, everybody kind of had a job. They were siloed. They sat right next to each other, but they really didn't know what each other did. So that's been really beneficial, just internal workflow change. We really tried not to change our workflow too much and adapt to what we were doing, which Agave was great, and GreatTech just trying to get our workflow or the software to work towards our workflow a little bit. Mm-hmm. We didn't do that a ton. We try to stay out of the box as much as possible and not customize, but we do have to customize a little bit. So Agave was able to help, meet the needs of our ERP system from that standpoint. It's been really beneficial.
I think that's awesome. When it comes to ERP, there's always going to be some customization for sure, because everybody's ERP system is set up very different, and there's all these complications that arise from that. So having that flexibility to have that out of box, but then tweak it to match your workflows to make it as least disruptive as possible.
That's right.
Is
important. We had a lot of issues with risk management in the beginning. They were like, we do not want to change. We don't want to do anything different. We have our workflow and our ERP system. We go through the steps that we need to go through. We send it to DocuSign. It gets signed. We upload. Everything was very manual. And when I started digging into it, they spent a lot of time managing our subcontracts. And all of our subcontracts throughout the entire company go through two people, two risk managers. They're contract admins. They go to DocuSign. They have to manually drag and drop all the signature fields and everything in DocuSign on every contract. And with Agave Sync and ACC, we streamlined all of that. It's all automatic now. They don't have to do any of that. And they just push a button, it goes to DocuSign, it gets signed, it comes back in, saves the document, syncs over to Viewpoint, which is our ERP system, and everything's there and everybody's happy. They just have to check a couple boxes and move on. It's really been seamless. They said it saved about 75% of their time.
Yeah,
doing a subcontract.
Wow.
And they do hundreds every day.
That's massive.
It's really streamlined their process, and they're super happy. They started out, we don't want to do this, and slowly they've kind of turned, and now they're like, this is the greatest thing ever. We should have done this earlier.
That's an awesome thing when that light bulb moment goes off.
Exactly.
How did you manage that change management aspect of it to get them comfortable with the tool and the software to get them to that point of, wow, we should have done this earlier?
Yeah, I basically had to work with them one-on-one. There's only two of them in the whole company, so it was really pretty easy. I was able to sit down with them, go through the process. They joined our committee. We set up a committee for rolling out and implementing ACC cost, and integrating with the Viewpoint. It was all one committee, and we had them join the committee. And then I did work with them one-on-one, did training. They come to me directly. I'm not technically the training manager for ACC, but they do come to me directly, and I'm able to support them. And I try to jump on. They're like a high priority for any issues that come up. So I jump on that, fix it for them, and they're really happy, trying to keep them as happy as possible.
That's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think what you're saying there is you got to meet them where they are and really come alongside of them, see how kind of their pain points and speak.
Yeah, part of it is learning what they did. Like, I had
Yeah.
no idea. I'm a VDC guy for the most part, so I don't know the cost side, the risk subcontracts. I never even really saw one of our subcontractors before we started doing this. So it was sitting down with them, learning and going through their workflow and what they do day to day, and then bringing that to how we do things and how we can streamline it and make it way more efficient, which we are. Even we have a dashboard for them as well, so they can see all of their outstanding subcontracts that they need to issue every day. It's really pretty convenient for them.
That's awesome. Seeing how they do it in their workflow, has that changed how you see the VDC world and how you go about your workflows?
I wouldn't say so. It was something new that I had to learn. The whole cost in general is something that I've never really had to deal with. We do forecast our jobs from a VDC standpoint for our budgets, but we've never really dealt with all the project management day to day, change orders, CORs, OCOs, SCOs, all of that stuff. I've had to learn all of that from the ground up because I've never had to deal with any of it before. And their workflow as well from a subcontractor standpoint, or a contract administration standpoint, issuing subcontracts through DocuSign, which I had never had any exposure to. I didn't even know what they did, really. So learning all of that, understanding it, now I have a broader picture of the company and the roles and what we do.
Nice. So how do you see GreatTech and Autodesk role in helping you kind of move to the next step and move forward?
The next step meaning?
Of your digital
journey?
Transformation journey. Yeah.
So I think AI is going to be a big part of that. Right now we're just rolling out costs, so we're going to let that kind of settle for a little bit. We're probably going to, and when I say roll out costs, we just rolled out subcontracts, change orders, and forecasting. That was kind of our phase one. We're probably going to look into, and I'm going to learn more about GC Pay and the integration with that into cost. We actually use GC Pay as well, so I'm interested in how that works, and as well as going into cost or subcontractor payment applications, whether we do that in cost or whether we stay in GC Pay. I don't know how all that's going to work. And then we actually just rolled out safety as well. So again, safety in ACC is not something we've ever done before, which was really interesting. Our safety department had really never even used ACC. So I was trying to train them and show them that it's valuable and we can do it. They started training and working with some of our superintendents in the field who had been using it for years and know it like the back of their hand. They do daily reports every day. They do quality control checklist, punch list, everything, their sheets, everything we use is in ACC. So when the safety guys got out to the field, they were being taught how to use the system from the safety guys who were trying to teach the superintendents how to use the safety functionality.
Yeah.
And they were like blown away. They're like, we can't believe how easy this is because everybody already knows how to use it, which had been what I was trying to tell them for a long time. They finally...
It takes a while for that light bulb to go off sometimes.
Yeah, it clicked, and they were like, yeah, you're right. They already know how to use the system. Like, yeah, they've been using it for years. But, with that training and the implementation, we always leverage, GreatTech and outside sources to help us support and make sure everybody's staying onboarding, that type of thing, staying up to date with the tools that we're using and trying to implement, especially as they change, which, ACC changes on a monthly basis.
Yeah, it's important to stay up because there's so many new updates coming out, and even just small tweaks that might just be a tiny little thing, but it then has a big ripple effect.
I can actually give you a great example of that. Right now in PDFs, you can open up PDFs, and there's a toggle on the top right-hand corner that makes it readable, so you can just scroll through instead of having to click on the tabs of each sheet on the left-hand side. So that's a really nice functionality, and you can actually turn that on for the entire project instead of doing it one sheet at a time. So that little functionality right there, I'm starting to use that and put that in our template and roll it out to all the jobs moving forward because it's great functionality where you can just scroll through a PDF like you can in Bluebeam instead of clicking each sheet, which kind of gets to be a nuisance.
Annoying, yeah, for sure. So as we start to kind of wrap up here, a couple rapid fire questions. The tagline for GreatTech is modeling the future. What does that mean and kind of look like to you?
I would say it's kind of the digital twin, I would say, trying to get to that point. I think, I heard a lot about Tandem. We're interested in using Tandem a lot more. and our assets and how that pushes to facility management and gets to the owner and the client. A lot of our clients have their own facility management software, so it's challenging. I didn't know it was tied in with Maximo like it was, so that's interesting. So that might be something I'm going to investigate here coming up in the future.
Yeah.
But I think that overall model evolution from design all the way to facility management, I think is big.
That was a really cool thing that they were talking about in the keynote, of bringing everything together truly and having that connected construction data.
That's right.
That's been talked about for several years, but it seems like it's really here now.
That's right.
It's becoming a reality, which is cool. So we love innovation around here. What does innovation mean to you?
Continuous improvement, always trying to learn how our industry works and what are pain points for our teams in the field, what takes them a long time, and how do we make that better? How can we improve our processes and be, leaner?
That 1% improvement every day adds up.
That's
for
right.
Sure. How do people find out more information and connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. You can just email me. I'll be around today, this week.
Awesome. Well, final question for you. If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in the construction industry, what would you pick to innovate?
That's a good question. I don't know if I have an answer to that.
Careful with this one. Great power comes great responsibility here.
That's right. I would say robotics. I'm big into robotics. We have two HP site prints. I would think, doing more with less, basically, trying to build, without having to do it.
Any particular kind of robotic that kind of comes top of mind to you?
We're looking into some robotics. As far as future of robotics, nothing really in particular. There's a lot of really cool stuff that we're working on as far as Kojima globally. I'll give you a couple of examples of what I've seen that we're working on is like a concrete finisher that's robotic. The big spinning, I don't even know what you call them, but they're...
I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the big, you sit on them and ride them and drive them around. Well, there's a robot they've put on those that fit onto them that you can... Actually, it just drives around on its own, or just autonomous heavy machinery equipment. We've got job sites where there's, 50, 60 pieces of equipment, heavy machinery running around with nobody in them, which is really great. I think I see a crane right here in front of me on your display, and I think cranes would be another great one. I think most operators are sitting in a crane just holding something while people on the ground are tying it or rebar or whatever it is. And I think you could have one person running 3 or 4 of those at different jobs if you're sitting in an office all over the country. And you run one, you pick up something, you set it, you hold it, and then you switch to another one. And I think that could be a big benefit as well. There's a lot of things kind of like that I think could be improved and made more efficient.
For sure. I haven't thought about the crane functionality, but that's totally applicable. You could do that pretty easily, I would imagine. They can do it all the drones and everything in the military. Why not with cranes? Well, Jason, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And now it's time for my Todd takes from this episode. First take, prefab unlocks new efficiencies. Prefabrication isn't just a buzzword. It's proving itself in real-world projects. By standardizing processes like vertical shafts and pods, teams are speeding up schedules, reducing waste, and creating more predictable outcomes. What once felt experimental is now becoming the expectation. Second take, change management is the hardest innovation. Technology alone doesn't drive transformation. People do. Rolling out new tools requires building trust, meeting teams where they are, and addressing their real pain points. The lesson here is that one-on-one conversations, training champions, and gradual adoption win the day over flashy rollouts. And finally, AI and robotics are shaping the next horizon. Artificial intelligence and robotics aren't replacing people. They're freeing them. From automatically generating reports to exploring autonomous equipment, these technologies are about reducing repetitive tasks so skilled professionals can focus on higher value work. The future is less about hype and more about practical applications that genuinely save time and boost safety. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you are interested in learning more, you can visit our sponsor, Great Tech Group, at ASTI.com for more information. You can listen to this podcast anytime by simply going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to check out our website, bridgingthegappod.com. As always, I'm Todd Wyant, thanking you for joining the conversation to model the future on the Bridging the Gap podcast. Keep innovating.